South Africans have almost a week before they vote for their favorite local government representatives in the upcoming municipal elections. The ANC Deputy President David Mabuza is on the campaign trail in KwaZulu-Natal. For the latest from the outpost, I'm joined by Siphamandla Goge, who is updating us about that and other issues that are playing themselves out in the political arena. Mfoka Goge, sawubona. It's good to have you with me once again. So, David Mabuza is on the campaign trail in KwaZulu-Natal, but as these things would play out, issues that political parties and others don't necessarily consider to be domestic issues and consider them to be international relations somehow find a way of featuring in the domestic politics. And this one is impossible to ignore. What is David Mabuza saying about Eswatini?
Of course, it's impossible to ignore because what is happening in Eswatini as pro-democracy protests continue, there are allegations that the state and security forces are abusing protesters, and to a certain extent, there have been reports of some people who have been killed allegedly by security forces of Eswatini government. So David Mabuza is the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa. It's not something that he was going to ignore. In fact, we did put to him a question about what is going on in Eswatini and what does him as the Deputy President of the Republic understands, as well as President Cyril Ramaphosa. We know that he has dispatched a delegation of envoys there led by former Justice Minister, a veteran, that is Jeff Radebe, to lead a delegation to go and negotiate with eNCA Eswatini, King Mswati III. Well, David Mabuza telling us that it's time for a dialogue now in Eswatini. He says all warring factions need to come together, sit down and talk about the way forward. What needs to happen? There needs to be calm, peace, order and stability, because whatever happens in Eswatini is going to affect South Africa as the neighboring country, but also not South Africa alone. All countries in the SADC region. We are talking about Namibia, we are talking about Mozambique, Zimbabwe and other countries, but South Africa will have to deal with a lot in terms of whether be it social, economic and political. So what is happening in Eswatini, it's in the best interest of South Africa to have that one sorted out, to have peace and stability in Eswatini, but also it's in the best interest of the region as a whole, that is SADC and the continent. No country anywhere in the world and in the continent of Africa should have instability, and reports coming out of Eswatini are concerning indeed when it comes to allegations of human rights abuses in that country. So we did ask David Mabuza about his views on what is happening in Eswatini. He is adamant that the time has come for an inclusive dialogue in that country. Let's take a listen to him.
The situation in Swaziland, I think the President has briefed us about the situation and he has sent an envoy. We hope the message to the King will be conveyed by our envoy, so that we look at a situation where a dialogue is established between all the warring factions and the parties, and the King should be at the center to convene that dialogue. It's almost time that the people of Eswatini and their King must sit down and talk.
All right, that will be interesting to hear how that's received, because as I said, we are due to be joined by Themba Masuku, the Deputy Prime Minister of Eswatini, and that's coming up at 4 p.m. And I will put those questions to him about this inclusive dialogue between the people of Eswatini and their king, as Deputy President David Mabuza puts it there. Siphamandla, before you tell me about the work of the task team led by General Mkhwanazi, just tell me about, let's speak firstly broadly about this issue of political killings, and we'll zone in on the work of General Mkhwanazi. Did you see this gentleman called Fisokuhle Ntuli? And I say gentleman, I guess I'm abusing the word, really, he's no gentleman at all. You're talking here about someone that Begicele describes as a killing machine. He looks scary.
Indeed, if you follow stories related to political killings in KwaZulu-Natal, you would know that, to have someone like that being arrested, going through court processes, of course, Police Minister General Pegicele describing him as a killing machine. Let me tell you that he is said to be central in what many people call the hitman industry in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, this hitman industry, I always talk about it, it's not only in politics, KwaZulu-Natal is a heavily armed province, Even those who lead the province, they do concede that there is a lot of work that needs to be done to get rid of illegal firearms in KwaZulu-Natal. You've got the hitman industry, whether in the taxi industry itself, whether in politics, be that as it may. The killing of politicians in KwaZulu-Natal is not something new. You also have the ongoing taxi violence in many parts of the province. So these issues are many, but they do converge at some point. They boil down to one thing: this violent crime and the thriving of what many people call the hitman industry in KwaZulu-Natal. The arrest of that guy that you mentioned, that will not call a gentleman, tells you that police are doing a lot of work to crack these cases. There have been concerns in the past that most of these political killings, there is no progress, but we have seen with the establishment of a task team that was announced by President Ramaphosa, if I'm not mistaken, in 2018, that Police Minister General Pegicele had to put together with a narrow focus on KwaZulu-Natal in particular. You see, killing of councillor candidates and politicians in KwaZulu-Natal is not new. As far back as 2011, we started seeing this. Yes, it was affecting various political parties, whether it's the NFP, the IFP, and the ANC. But in 2016, we started seeing a movement in terms of it being located, or where we saw the most of the people that are being killed, they would belong to one political party. In this case, they are dominated by those who are members and leaders of the ANC in various local branches of the ANC or councillor candidates of the ANC. We have seen that emerging over the years. So it is a concerning situation. It's something that we asked David Mabuza about it as the Deputy President of the ANC. It's not only happening in KwaZulu-Natal, Thulasizwe. In the Northwest as we speak, yesterday there are reports that a candidate was gunned down. Yes, in various parts of the country, it's not widely reported, and it's prevalent in KwaZulu-Natal because these cases are reported on an ongoing basis. But I can tell you that it's something that is worrying indeed. It's concerning because if you will have local government elections, they must be free and fair. They can never be free and fair in an environment that is dominated by fear. So that task team led by General Tlatlam Kwanazi will investigate these political killings in KwaZulu-Natal, the latest ones.
Yeah, in fact, let's get to that. Before we do that, I suppose I do need to take a step back and curb my enthusiasm and not really use words like he looks scary, because that man, Fisogu Hlentuli, looks like a guy you would meet in the streets, actually. It's just that I've got the background knowledge of what he has been convicted for that then creates the picture that he looks scary. But if you were to see him walking past you, you wouldn't know that this is a multiple murderer who has been involved in the killings of many people, including allegedly at this stage in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. So then Siphamandla, in response, as one of the many attempts to arrest this situation, this task team, as you say, is set up in 2018 by President Cyril Ramaphosa. It's done some work, and Pegicele tells us they've arrested no less than 200, in fact close on 300 people, and they have 9 people against whom they've secured life sentences, 22 against whom they've secured prison terms of 10 to 50 years. And that they're now getting more resources, are they?
Yes, indeed. They will have to get more resources. There is no way that they cannot get more resources because this is a matter of national security, Thulasizwe. You can't have a situation whereby people who are exercising their political right of being politically active, whether they want to become councillors or they want to become leaders of their branches in their own political parties, are gunned down. People must be allowed to exercise their political rights to choose whether they want to lead or be led, and also whether they want to contest. Now, Now, you need resources to investigate these sophisticated cases, Thulasizwe. You see, the hitman industry is not as simple as many people think. These are well-coordinated attacks and killings of leaders and politicians at a local level. But the bottom line here, Thulasizwe, is that task team has registered some positive gains. It's made some progress. But up until we see the plotters, the people who basically put together these plots to say so and so needs to be eliminated for political reasons, those are the people that need to be arrested at this point. Yes, you can arrest a trigger puller, but the question is who sent him. So General Mkhwanazi in KwaZulu-Natal has been given more resources. Let's listen to Police Minister General Pedicele explaining.
So here, General Mkhwanazi has been given an extra personnel, and he will see how he deploys it as it comes here. Yes, there are areas where there will have to be an extra personnel. eThekwini is one problematic area. Here is one problematic area. Midilovo is one. KwaDukuza, King Cetshwayo is one problematic area. And as you go Nongoma, as you know that the guy that was sentenced comes from Nongoma. So there'll be those areas. But the provincial commissioner will know exactly what's the story.
Lastly, Siphamandla, let's focus on the former president, Jacob Zuma, laying charges against State Prosecutor Billy Downer. This comes ahead of us finding out what the outcome is of that special plea that he tabled in the High Court in Pietermaritzburg.
Another move by former President Jacob Zuma. Many people are saying, well, why did he leave it so late? He opened that case on Friday. He is within his rights, of course, to go and open any case if he feels let down. But he has said in court in Pietermaritzburg that he was contemplating laying criminal charges against State Lead Prosecutor Advocate Billy Downer because he alleges that he is responsible for leaking his confidential medical records to the media, something that Billy Downer has denied. The state has denied that. Former President Jacob Zuma is awaiting to hear what the judgment will be on Tuesday when Judge Bidkun rules on his application to have Billy Downer removed as the state lead prosecutor. But he briefly greeted our colleagues in the media on Friday when he went to open that criminal case in Pietermaritzburg. Let's take a listen to him, Thulasizwe, very briefly.
Baba umanye uzosala nani kanye nommeli ngala bafunde statement ukuthi besize ngapha emaphoyiseni besizovula icala sivulela umthethisi bazofunda ke basho ukuthi lithini lecala kanjani. Akukho kunye ngizokusho mina ngiyahamba ngiyabashiya la nazana kakhulu nabo nokwazi nokubonda nabo ngikwazi ukubonda nami isiboshwa mina so siyashaya iboshwa siyabonga bakwethu musu kungibuza umbuzo
And one word answer, Siphamandla, that judgment is on Tuesday, is it?
Yes, it is.
All right, fantastic. That's eNCA's Siphamandla Goge there with an update from the outpost and just giving us a flavor and a sense of some of the big political stories that he is tracking from the election campaign to what has been happening around former President Jacob Zuma and the state prosecutor Billy Downer.